Have you ever gotten a negative review and had absolutely no idea what to do with it? Most contractors either ignore it, get defensive and start responding and fighting, or just try to delete their whole Google profile completely. Every single one of those is a big mistake. I've been through this with clients. I have made every mistake in the book, and finally I built a system that handles it right every single time. This video is that system. A little while back, me and this client were scaling pretty fast, and at that point we had a bunch of 5-star reviews, and we had never had a 1-star review, and this was around the holidays. And around the holidays, what happened was we had a guy come in, so he saw an ad of ours, and he went on the website after that and he booked an appointment, right? Now, as always, I reached out immediately to qualify this guy, right? Make sure he had the budget for it, to make sure that the timeline made sense, and to make sure we liked that guy as a person and it was someone we'd like to do business with, right? I gave him a call, and this guy wanted to do like a bathroom remodel that realistically was going to be around like $12,000 to $15,000, and he straight up told me that his budget was around $7,000 to $8,000. Now, I didn't straight up disqualify him. I told him to cancel the appointment and to send pictures or a video through text to make sure that ballpark was realistic. Now, this was around like December 25th or December 26th or something, and we had a lot going on, me and my client, family-wise and stuff. So like this guy sent a picture right away, but I did not respond until December 29th or so. And before I could even respond, I got a notification saying, you just got a 1-star review by Michael something. And so this guy left like a super detailed review about how we didn't want to work with him because he was a Latino or something. Like it was some nonsense. And he said that our services and our business was terrible. It was just a nasty review, right? And we panicked. And I started getting angry because I was like, we didn't even work with this guy. I was kind enough to like help him out throughout the whole process and stuff. And he goes and leaves that review. And we cared a lot about our reputation and such. So we did a bunch of mistakes, but one of them was writing this very defensive response to that review, just saying that we had never worked with this person and all this stuff. And then we realized that really this response wasn't really for this guy, because Google reviews as of summer of 2026 cannot be replied back to. So it's not like a social media threat where you're going to have a full-on conversation, full-on fight on the comments. Someone leaves a review, business owner responds, and that's it. That's the end. So we realized that this response wasn't really for this guy, but more for the future clients that we were going to have, and that we're going to be checking out our website and our Google profile to see if they wanted to do business with us. So I told my client, I was like, hey, let's wait a second. I don't think this is the best move here. I started doing a bunch of research and stuff, and thankfully I discovered this framework that I'm telling you about. Instead of getting all defensive and stuff, I wrote a response saying something along the lines of, we could not be more disappointed that this is the experience you had with us. And even though this was during the holidays, that is no excuse at all. This is not at all how we want to treat every single people that is interested in our services under any circumstances. And then we addressed the race comment as well, just saying that that's not how anyone in the company operates, and that couldn't be further from the truth, and that he was in the right to just let us know about this, and that we took every single experience very seriously. So doing that just positions you as the responsible business owner who's losing sleep over having someone have an experience that is even remotely negative with our business, which is true because most likely you are losing sleep already. So as soon as you get a negative review, there's 2 things you need to do. You need to escalate, and then you bury. What escalate means is pretty much knowing that the only good response to a negative review is agreeing with what they're saying, and make it look like there's not a single person in the world that's more angry and disappointed at whatever the reason is that person left that review than you, which is probably true, by the way. And so if the person who's leaving the review is angry, you want to get angrier at the situation, not at the company. If they're sad, if they're disappointed, you want to be sadder, you want to be more disappointed. So you want to up the ante. If someone is angry and you get even angrier, the only option that they have left is to agree with you and try to de-escalate the situation. And this is straight from How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. But there's always 2 scenarios, right? It's either the end of the world or not that bad. You get to pick one of those, and by default, the other person is going to pick the other one. And then how do you bury a review? In terms of burying a review, you just want to flood your socials and your online presence with as many positive reviews as possible. Now, of course, you don't just want to go out there and tell people, hey, leave me a 5-star review, even if you didn't work with them. But the companies that are best positioned out there are the ones that have some sort of expedited service to be able to get a review back, or even asking for a review after going to an in-home appointment to give an estimate is something that could work very well if you position the request around the experience that they got on the estimate. If you measure the whole thing, if you're able to do the quote on site and your quotes look very nice, very professional, you add a before and after what their project is going to look like. Like if you do all these things, you're going to start getting a lot of Google reviews every time you go leave an estimate, and it's going to force you to improve your sales process. So also, if you don't already have a system that automatically asks people that you have worked with for a review after you finish the job, you should build that ASAP. You can have something super simple like a text going out to people saying like, hey, we hope you're enjoying our work. Do you mind just leaving us a Google review real quick? It takes 30 seconds and it would mean the world to us. Something basic like that. Or the better way to do it is having a system that not only sends that text, but also if we don't get a response within 24 or 48 hours, is going to send another follow-up just saying, hey, bumping this up, let me know. And then it waits another 24 hours or 48 hours, sends another follow-up like, hey, David. And then you can pick and choose which clients you do this for. Ideally, you do it with the people that you know that are absolutely loving the work that you did. But you're just going to lose on so many dozens and dozens of Google reviews that you could have had if you don't have this system in place. And then another thing too, contrary to what a lot of people think, having bad reviews on your site actually builds more trust than a perfect 5.0 rating if you handle every single one of them this way. Think about a remodeling business with 15 perfect 5-star reviews, 5.0 rating, versus a business with 100 Google reviews but with a 4.7 rating. The second one is a lot more trustworthy just because it proves that the business is real and that the business owner cares enough to respond. Think about it like this. A negative review is kind of like a small fire. What most contractors do is go and throw gasoline into the fire by reacting emotionally or just ignoring them completely. This is just going to make things worse. Don't do it, because again, the way you handle negative reviews, it's not really for the person who left the review, it's for everybody else that's going to see that. The way you handle a negative review is public. The right way to handle it would be to put a wet blanket on it and then sort of plant trees around it so that nobody notices the burn mark, right? Escalate and then you bury it. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, David, I don't really want to be sitting down and writing this deeply thought responses for every negative review that I get. And what I would say to that is, first, the time is worth it. Second, we don't really have to spend nearly as much time as we had to in the past because we have AI now. So let me show you how I use AI so that every time we get a negative review, I don't even have to think. I don't panic. I don't anything. I'm able to deal with these very fast. In case you don't know, I got this escalate bury framework from a guy called Alex Hormozi, and I have a chat that automatically creates these responses for me. And the way I created this was by grabbing the transcript of the video where Alex Hormozi talks about this, and I just went to Claude and said, I will use this chat to respond to both negative and positive Google reviews. Check out this transcript of a video from Alex Hormozi talking about how he handles the reviews that are negative, and then I will send you a few reviews so that you can help me draft a response. You can just create the transcript for this video if you want to do the same thing. Now, let's say I got this bad review, right? Pretty bad experience with this company, didn't show up on time to finish the job, and it lasted more than planned. I would just grab it and then paste it in here, send it, and then Claude is going to obviously ask me for more context on this one. I'm just going to say the scope kept changing, the lady kept changing her mind, it was a pain. And then it'll tell you, right? It'll say, well, the timeline extended because of the scope changes driven by the client, not because we dropped the ball. That's important context, but we have to be really careful how we say it. And then it'll come back with a response. You would just look through it, make sure that's something you would actually say and is written using the same tone that you have. And there's that. You might also be asking yourself, hey, what if the review is genuinely a lie? Maybe it's from someone who wasn't even a client of ours, or maybe it's a competitor just trying to get our name dirty, right? Before doing this, I would suggest trying to report the review on Google. Let's pretend this was your remodeling company and you got this negative review. You can just click on the 3 dots here and then click on report review. It'll ask you why you're reporting that review. You would click on that and then you would submit it. Now, how long does it take for Google to remove a review? In my experience, it usually takes between 3 to 7 days for the review to just disappear. And I don't know if it's just me, but I never get notified. It just stops showing. And then if doing that doesn't work, you can use the Google's review management tool, which usually takes another 2 to 14 days. And if that doesn't work, there's like a one-time appeal process that can take another 2 to 14 days on top of that. At the end of the day, the truth is that there's no amount of reporting that you can do that is going to remove a Google review that just doesn't violate their terms. Google is just going to check the actual content of the review, not how many people have reported it. And that's exactly why it's so important to know how to respond to these. No matter how unfound you think the review is, sometimes you just can't get rid rid of them. So the only thing left is to use them to your advantage by doing this. So yeah, there's that. If you're struggling to get work, if you want to get more projects, if you want to get better projects, you can click the first link in the description. It's just a video of me explaining how my company can help you do that. You don't have to click it, but it's there if you want to check it out. Also, if you have any questions about the way we handle this, you can leave them in the comments. You can also like the video if you liked it. You can subscribe if you want YouTube to start showing you more videos like this. Don't forget to stay ethical and actually try to do great by every single one of your clients to hopefully not have to do this whole process as much. But if you do, this is exactly how you would handle it. So I appreciate you for sticking till the end. I'll see you in the next one.